أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت إن شئت تجعل الحزن سهلا. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من أن نشرك بك شيئا نعلمه ونستغفرك لما لا نعلمه. ثم أما بعد. Last week we talked about the sign of the corruption of the heart, and Imam Ghazali gave this wonderful example when he said that the definition of sickness or illness is when an organ cannot function as it should function. And he gave the example of the eye, and he said that when the eye cannot see very well or cannot see at all, this means that there is eye disease there. They must be treated. And he said similarly, when you look at the heart was made for knowledge, to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ma'rifatullah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to know the wisdom. And when we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we love Him, and we love Him more than anything or anyone else. And he said that those who love anything other than Allah or more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then this is a sign that their heart is corrupt. Right? So, qalb marid, because they love Allah more than anything else. So they don't have the knowledge of Allah because they don't love Allah more than anything else. And he quoted the ayat in Surah Al-Tawbah, قُلْ إِنْ كَانَ آبَاؤُكُمْ وَأَبْنَاؤُكُمْ وَإِخْوَانُكُمْ وَأَزْوَاجُكُمْ وَعَشِيرَتُكُمْ وأموال اقترفتموها وتجارة تخشون كسادها ومساكن ترضونها أحب إليكم من الله ورسوله وجهاد في سبيله فتربصوا حتى يأتي الله بأمره. So, and he quoted other ayat and hadith that says that if you love your wealth, your property, your family, your tribe, your homes, your business more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then wait until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes His judgment. It's a big, it's a big statement, threatening. In other words, the believers, if they know Allah, they love Him, and they love Him more than anything or anyone else. He also talked about how to treat the heart, and he said that the problem is that most people don't know that they have heart issues. They don't know. And even if they know, they are unable to take the medicine because it's very, very difficult, very hard. Right? And we'll talk about the medicine now. This is the main subject for today's talk. And he said even if he knows the problem of his heart and he has the courage and the patience to take the medicine, then it's very difficult to find a clever physician or doctor, he said, who can give him the right prescription. He said the doctors here are the scholars and most of them are really sick. That's Imam Ghazali's judgment with the ulama of his time. We're talking about the 5th century. Alright? So, and he said that istiqamah is a very difficult to define because, as we mentioned before, every virtue stands between two vices. So to know the exact middle, the most wise thing to do is not easy, and that's why we always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. And today we'll talk about his main point here, what are the main source of the corruption of the hearts of the people, because most of the people love things more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Very few people who love Allah more than anything else. Very few, but the vast majority of people, they do the opposite. That's why their hearts are corrupt. Their heart is not doing what it was created for. Heart was created to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and remembering Him and so on. So he said that the main reason why people's hearts are corrupt is because they cannot resist their inclinations or desires, whims. That's the main reason. And this is the only way to treat the heart. So this is the source of the problem. You cannot resist temptations. They cannot stop their desires. So their desires control them. Right? And the only way, and he says there's no other way. That's why he says it's very difficult. For those who really want to purify their hearts, there's no other way. There's no shortcuts. That you must be able to control your desires. اتباع الشهوات in Arabic. اتباع الشهوات, to follow your desires. Or whatever you desire, you go and want to consume it. That's the main source of the problem, and that's the only solution, is to be able to control these desires. So, he says, this is, first of all, we must believe in this. We must understand, even if you're unable to do it, you must understand this is the problem, right? This is the problem. In many physical illnesses, many doctors say, we don't know why you are diabetic. We don't know. Maybe it's genetic, maybe you got it from somewhere else. We don't know. You have high blood pressure. But we know. So at least we need to know that this is the problem. Following desire is the problem. Whether we're able to do it or not, this is a different story. What we need at least to understand and to believe this is what it is. And he quoted, as usual, the Quran and the Sunnah and the saying of the ulama. The first ayah he quoted in Surah Al-Nazi'at, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ, those who fear the position of their Lord, they always observe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى, and prevented his soul from following its inclination. فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. Right? Then they will be admitted into Jannah. Jannah will be their abode. نَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى. خاف, to be mindful of his duties to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and knows that Allah is watching. وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى, and he prevent his nafs from following its desire. In Surah Al-Hujurat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ امْتَحَنَ اللَّهُ قُلُوبَهُمْ لِلتَّقْوَى. And the tafsir of this ayah, according to him, نَزَعَ مِنْهَا مَحَبَّةَ الشَّهَوَاتِ, take away the love or the attachment of these dunya and materialistic things from their hearts. Of course, we mentioned this hadith many times when Rasulullah said to the Sahaba when they came from the battlefield, that you came from the minor jihad to the major jihad. The minor jihad, the battlefield is minor thing, but the major jihad that's really difficult is the jihad against your own nafs, against your own self, or against your own desire. That's the greatest jihad. And if you fail this jihad, you cannot win any other jihad. If you fail to control yourself, then you cannot win any other battle. And he quoted some saying of the ulama. Sufyan al-Thawri, for example, says, ما عالجت شيئا أشد علي من نفسي مرة لي ومرة علي. He said that nothing is more difficult for me to deal with than my own self. Sometimes I win, sometimes it wins. Sometimes I can't control my nafs, my desires, and some other time I lose. Right? Abu Abbas al-Musali used to say to himself that you are not among the children of the kings enjoying your dunya, and you are not working hard to achieve al-akhirah. So, not enjoying dunya, and you are not preparing for the akhirah. So what are you doing? You're wasting your time for nothing. He also quoted Yahya ibn Mu'adh al-Razi, who said that جاهد نفسك بأسياف الرياضة. You have to make jihad against yourself, and there are 4 things you need to do. He said القوت من الطعام. القوت من الطعام. You don't eat so much, just eat what's necessary. Nothing more. والغمض من المنام. And you sleep barely enough just to give your body some rest. الغمد is not like the very deep sleep and long sleep. الغمد من المنام. والحاجة إلى الكلام. Don't speak unless you have to. Right? Don't keep talking and talking. وحمل الأذى من جميع الأنام. حمل الأذى means to be patient when people act ignorantly against you. Because most of the people are ignorant. And you have just to be patient because you'll be mistreated sometime. So the whole idea of being enslaved or imprisoned, and some ulama use these two terms when they talk about our desires. So Ibn Taymiyyah used to say that Ibn Taymiyyah was in prison. He was in prison and he died in prison actually. And he said the real imprisoned person is the one who is imprisoned by his own desires. So the desires, actually fulfilling the desires, it actually imprisons us, makes us so limited. It takes away our freedom. It takes away our freedom. Right? Freedom does not mean that we do whatever we want. That's a big misunderstanding. Freedom is not irresponsible enjoyment. That's not really freedom. Right? Freedom when we are in control, not controlled by something else. Like prisoners. Prisoners, they have to stay in their cell. They allow them perhaps some time out and then they come back to their cell. But even when they are out of the cell, they are still in the prison. Right? So they are controlled. That's why they don't have their own freedom. Right? To go wherever they want. And people are in some sense done this. Because we are limited. Because we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to eat this, we have to dress this, we have to buy this. So this makes us not really free, right? And the concept of slavery, very close from this. Slave cannot escape his master, right? He does not have his own decision. He's controlled, his life, his time, his effort. He does not own any of these things. All these things owned by someone else, so he has to, obey. Okay, so the master ordered the slave, and the slave cannot say no, cannot say not now, okay, I'll do it tomorrow, or no, you have to do it now. Right? So similarly, the shahawat and the desires, like the master, and we are like the slaves. I desire this, you have to run for this. I want this now, I cannot wait tomorrow, I have to get it now, right? I want to eat this meal now, so I'll go and drive 15 miles to go to this store to eat this. Okay? So those who cannot control their desire is like people they look free, but they're not really free. They are not really free. Ja'far ibn Hamid said that أجمعت العلماء والحكماء. This is ijma', consensus in all ulama and the wise people, that النعيم لا يدرك إلا بترك النعيم. You cannot achieve comfort with comfort. You cannot achieve pleasure with pleasure. It doesn't work even in our worldly life, right? To get a good, position, then you have to study hard. And even when you get a position, if you want to promotion, then you have to work harder. So you cannot just sit and relax and do nothing, and then all of a sudden everything will work fine. It doesn't work this way, right? That's why Rasulullah said that the way to Jannah is surrounded by hardship, and the way to Jahannam is surrounded by ease or desires. Okay, so there are two ways. Of course, everyone wants to take the way that's surrounded by desires, right? A nice way, full of desires and enjoyment and fun. And the other one is difficult. But this is the only way to Jannah, this is the only way to the hellfire. Right? So, then he said, this ijma', this consensus among all ulama and hukama, we cannot take it very lightly. He said, وحاصل الرياضة وسرها ألا تتمتع النفس بشيء مما لا يوجد في القبر إلا بقدر الضرورة. Okay, let me say it again. The bottom line here he says that your nafs should not enjoy anything except the thing that does not stay with it in the grave, except with darura. What will stay with us in our grave? Dhikrullah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Our prayer, our fasting, our umrah and hajj and sadaqah and ihsan, all these are the things that will stay. So what will not stay with us in the grave? This is a very nice standard that Imam Ghazali came up with. Give your nafs barely what's necessary of the things that you will not take with you in the grave. But for the things that you will take with you in the grave, do as much as you can. We are not going to take our food, or our tablets, or our cell phones, or our movies, or shows, or sports, or games, or homes, stocks. We're not going to take any of these things. We're not going to take our clothes. The only clothes we take is these two white sheets, right? No pockets. Yeah. So give yourself of the things that you will not take with you to the grave, only the bare minimum. So when you eat just to stay alive. When you dress, don't exaggerate just need to cover yourself, just give yourself the bare minimum. And so on and so forth. But when it comes to dhikrullah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is what will stay with you in your grave. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اذكروا الله ذكرا كثيرا وسبحوه بكرة in the morning, asila in the evening, right? He said that people are four kind of people when it comes to attachment to this dunya. He said, رجل مستغرق قلبه بذكر الله فلا يلتفت إلى الدنيا إلا في ضرورات المعيشة. Someone whose heart is attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he is not very much concerned about the details of this dunya. And he takes only what is necessary for him to survive. And the second one, the exact opposite, رجل استغرق الدنيا قلبه. His heart is full of dunya. And there's no room for the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his heart. And he's one of the halikeen, he's be destroyed. And someone is busy with both, dunya and deen, together. But the amount of his dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is larger. فهذا لا بد له, he said, من ورود النار إلا أنه ينجو منها سريعا. You know, as we mentioned last time, everyone will pass this bridge over Jahannam, والعياذ بالله. So he will pass this, but hopefully he will pass quickly, right? And the fourth one is busy with both, but dunya has more room in his heart. فذلك يطول مقامه, that he will stand for so long. For hisab. And then he said, now I'm sure that what the question that comes to our mind is that there's halal and haram. I mean, Rasulullah said halal is clear and haram is clear. So why he's taking this discussion to a different level. It's not halal and haram. He's not talking about halal and haram. He's talking about the heart. The whole book, by the way, is about how to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a sound heart. And the whole religion of Islam came to make us people who know Allah and live according to His guidance. So he's saying that I'm not talking about the halal and haram when it comes to shahwat, but he's talking about even the mubah, even things that are allowed, permissible. Taking so much of this is also can lead to committing the haram. At this point, clear. So to enjoy halal is halal, mubah, lawful. To enjoy what's permissible is permissible. I mean, if you eat, so what? If you eat so much, so what? I mean, you're eating halal food. Okay, it's like bread and biryani and stuff like this. So there's nothing wrong with it. So how much is too much? Now, if you ate and then you refill your plate and eat until you really full. So this is not haram. That's not a sin. Nothing will be written. He's not arguing this, Imam Ghazali, but he said, "هذا خيال ضعيف." This argument is a very weak argument. He said that's a very weak argument. And he mentioned two reasons actually that to fix your heart and to be able to control desire, even enjoying too much of halal is not good. For these two reasons. One is that if we don't stop our nafs from enjoying every halal possible, then eventually it will fall into the haram. Because he said the motivation is the same, that the desire is the same, to enjoy the halal or the haram. Everybody has a desire to eat, right? Everybody has a desire to have more money. So you work so much, right? And then until you finish all the mubah zone, and then eventually you will fall into the haram zone, right? Sexual desire, it is there. You can enjoy it in halal or haram, but if you want to fully enjoy it in halal so much, and it occupies one's mind, then eventually one cannot stop himself from going to the haram anymore. So he said, just take what is. So if the halal or the mubah, the permissible, like 100 pieces, from 1 to 100, he said, just get 51%, 52, 55%, 60%, and stop there. If you go all the way to 100%, then you will need more, right? Naturally. Yeah, it's 99.99 still the halal area, but eventually it's difficult to stop. But you have to stop somewhere, right? If you think that you're going to stop at 99.999 and then you stop there, it's not going to happen this way. And many of the scholars, they used to intentionally deprive themselves from things that's not haram, but they just want to create this buffer zone, if you want, between the mubah, the permissible, and the haram. So this is first argument. The second point he wants to make here is the second reason why we should not enjoy everything that's permissible. He said that the nafs will eventually satisfy with the pleasure of this dunya, and then will get attached to it so much. وَذَلِكَ الْفَرَحُ بِالدُّنْيَا سُمٌّ قَاتِلٌ يَسْرِي فِي الْعُرُوقِ. This love or attachment or satisfaction with dunya is like poison that will go through your vein and then will get out of your heart the remembrance of death and preparation for the life after. So getting so or fulfilling every halal desire is not a good idea if you really want to fix, the illness of your heart. I'm not talking about halal and haram again. I'm just talking about what it's supposed to be. And this is exactly what Rasulullah used to do. Remember, this is the sunnah. What did he say about eating? One third. We know the hadith very well. And very few apply it, especially if you have open buffet. All right? It's very difficult because you have plenty of food, man. You eat and enjoy, and then you finish it and there's a refill, and then you have to keep some room for the dessert and some for the shai, and perhaps another dessert will come. For Imam Ghazali and these people of the hearts, yeah, you did not commit a sin. It's not haram. Again, it's not haram to eat so much. But eventually this will deprive you from so many other things that you were created for. That is ibadah. Right? If you want to enjoy every permissible pleasure, then you'll spend your entire life doing nothing but pleasure. And your heart will be attached to it, and you cannot say no. And that's very much why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made fasting in the month of Ramadan one of the 5 pillars of Islam. That's the main point of fasting in the month of Ramadan. Food we eat is pure, clean, the water, pure and clean, but even it's pure and clean, but don't take so much of it. You need to learn that you can live without so much of this. You are not here just to eat and drink like animals. That's not what Allah wants you to be. You are VIP, you are a very important person to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, very, very important, creation. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want to deprive us from the thing that He provided for us, but He just wants us to understand that eating too much or focusing so much on food and halal things, clothes and homes and materialistic pleasure is not good, because your heart will be eventually attached to it. And as we mentioned before, when you have your computer, the memory of your computer is filled with movies and videos and pictures and songs and things, and then you want to download something useful, there's no room for it. In this case, you have to delete something. You have to get rid of useless files to create space. Exactly what happened with your heart. If the heart is full of these pleasures and things, there will be no room for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and for fear of the day of judgment and preparation for our life in our grave and then the day of judgment. You have to get rid of so many files if we want really to bring the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala into our hearts. Then Imam Ghazali talked about alamat husn al-khuluq, and he said everyone is different. I mean, when he talked about the disease of the heart, and he said everybody, like the eyesight, the example he gave earlier, that there are different levels of eye problems. If someone has a sharp eyesight, someone is totally blind, and there are plenty of different levels in between. So he said everybody is different. Everybody has to seek different treatment for that particular problem he has. Then he talked about husn al-khuluq and said husn al-khuluq wal-iman wa su' al-khuluq wal-nifaq. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in many different ayat in the Quran Kareem gave us almost a list of the qualities of the people of husn, those who have husn al-akhlaq. And he said we have to actually look at these qualities and see how much we have. For example, the beginning of Surah Al-Mu'minun, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِلزَّكَاةِ فَاعِلُونَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ, and being to respect our promises and to protect to guard our chastity and so on. In Surah Al-Furqan, عِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا, to the end of the ayat. أَمَانَاتِهِمْ وَعَهْدِهِمْ رَاعُونَ. Point of going to the other extreme. Point of going to the other extreme. Not to be extreme, just to stay in the middle. Rasulullah also said that لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب نفسه. Your iman will not be complete until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. It's another indication, right? He said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم ضيفه. He who believes in Allah and the day of judgment, then be generous to your guests. He who believes in Allah and the day of judgment, He should not bother or harm his neighbor. Those who believe in Allah and the Day of Judgment should say what's good or remain silent. Do we have these qualities? We have to consider this. We have to take this seriously. And the Prophet ﷺ did not say your Muslim neighbor. No, he says your neighbor. If you see the connection between the behavior and the belief, right? Belief and practice. If you truly believe in Allah, in the life after the Day of Judgment, then you must be good to your neighbor. Whether Muslim, atheist, a Christian, whatever. You have to, because he's your neighbor. He has right upon you. Right? So these ahadith and others that show us that these are the parameters that we need to consider when we evaluate ourselves and to see what of these qualities we miss, and then we need to work on them. I will stop here, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and next time he will talk about how to raise our children and work on their akhlaq when they were young. And this is inshallah, I think, very important, and we will discuss it next week. قولوا قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم. If you have any comment or question, I'll be happy to take it now, inshallah. Well, hawa wa shahawat almost the same. Yeah, the same thing. The question is whether the al-hawa, نهى النفس عن الهوى. Hawa ما يهواه الإنسان is what you desire, right? Interestingly, the word hawa also is a verb. It's a fairly modern past tense. Hawa yahwi, right? So hawa means to fall down. So, أطلال أحمد ناجي يا فؤادي لا تسأل أين الهوى كان صرحا من خيال فهوى. Hawa means to fall down, right? So the hawa is what we desire, and the very same word, the hawa is noun, it's desire, or is a verb, فعل ماضي hawa yahwi. Okay? In the hadith, وإن الرجل لا يتكلم بالكلمة من سخط الله لا يلقي لها بال يهوي بها في النار 70 خريفا, 70 years, falling down, sit for 70 years, and not reaching the bottom of the hellfire. This is how deep it is. So the word hawa and shahawat, inclination or desires, I think they have the same meaning.
So the ayat Surah Al-Imran, which Allah said, so Allah has put those shahawat in us, right?
Yes.
And then Allah was from Allah.
No.
So Imam Ghazali is also
No, the question about the Surah Al-Imran, زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ, right? Love of the desires of sexual desire and owning properties and so on has been decorated for people. So Allah's, the word shahawat is not all evil. The shahwa is necessary for us, right? So without this desire, people want to get married and reproduce and have children, and then at a certain time, then there will be no more people. So the sexual desire is very powerful, but it is a must, it's a necessity. The love of money, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَتُحِبُّونَ الْمَالَ حُبًّا جَمًّا. You love money so much. تَأْكُلُونَ التُّرَاثَ أَكْلًا لَمًّا. The mirath, inheritance. وَتُحِبُّونَ الْمَالَ حُبًّا جَمًّا. People naturally love money. People naturally love to have children. Okay? So this desire in of itself is not bad. It's a gift from Allah. We have to be thankful for it. But the point is, does this shahwat or do these shahwat control us, or can we control them? That's the challenge. That's the challenge. Challenge we have ourselves, challenge we have our children. All religions were concerned about this, all philosophies were concerned about akhlaq, the ethics. What's ethical and what's unethical. Where to draw the limit. Where to draw the limit. How much is too much. Right? So So when people commit a crime, it's to fulfill one of these shahwat. So those who rape or harass people sexually, or those who rob a bank, and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ draw this line clearly, because some people went to the other extreme. And the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ draw this line clearly, because some people went to the other extreme. And some of the Sahaba, they said that someone said, I will not get married, and others said, I will pray all night, and others say, I will fast every day, and someone, I'm not going to eat meat. Right? And Rasulullah said, that's another extreme. To kill the shahawat is wrong. And some religions did this. The concept of celibacy in Christianity, those who say that, no, just kill the sexual, don't get married. Kill it. Kill it, man. What do you mean, kill it? Kill it, and then they go and mess with boys, young boys. And that's not practical. They deprive themselves from so many things, and they think this is the way for salvation. This is the way not to be controlled. This is the way for free. We don't live a luxurious life. Our life compared to them is extremely extravagant. Extremely extravagant. Okay, so yes. Amara is from the word Amr. It's commander of evil. Because the nafs, again, the nafs naturally wants to get the most of everything. Alright? So there's no limit. Everybody wants to be wealthy. But work, no, I'm not happy with this work. This work give me this amount of, no, I want to be like super wealthy. So go and steal from people. Okay? And the nafs would command people to exceed the limit. Okay? That's why we have law. We live in a free country, right? We think we are free. And our freedom is much more limited than we think we are. Well, everything is controlled. Everything is controlled. We have tons of laws. Everything has a code. You know, the paint on the wall, right? And the height of the ceiling, and the number of parking lots, and the water we drink. Everything has code that is lined. Everything has a code that you cannot, violate. So why do you have so much laws? Because you cannot enjoy your freedom fully as you think. You have the freedom to drive, yes. Go anywhere, yes, you have freedom to drive anytime. Take your car and start driving. But once you hit the road, then you have plenty of signs there. Stop signs, traffic lights, don't turn right, one way, you have to follow it. Speed limits. These laws has not been made to limit your freedom, but rather to protect others' rights. So similarly, you have the right to eat. They have the right to be wealthy. They have the right to live, to buy a house. They have the right to have property. That's absolutely your right. But do this in a lawful way. Okay, so setting the limit is the job of religions and laws. That's why Islam has laws. You have the right to get married, okay, but here are the limits. You have every right to fulfill your desire. Okay, so this is the only way to do it. Get married, how to get married. You go through all these chapters of Islamic family law, and then you have to do it the right way. You have the right to eat, yes. Eat it the right way. Don't eat this, don't eat that. You have to, say Bismillah, eat with the right hand. Don't throw food in the garbage, and so on. There are plenty of flaws. Why? Because if we don't have a limit, then this is the formula for chaos and fighting, conflict of interest. Okay, so النفس أمارة, and there's another nafs that fight this nafs called nafs lawama. سورة القيامة لا أقسم بيوم القيامة ولا أقسم بالنفس اللوامة. The self criticizing nafs. That when you do something bad, you feel bad. Oh, I shouldn't have done this. I wish I didn't do this. I'm not going to do this again. So there's nafs ammara and there's nafs lawama, and the ulama talked about nafs al-mutma'inna. When the nafs al-lawama prevails over the nafs ammara, control the nafs al-ammara, then this nafs becomes nafs mutma'inna, and it will be called Ya ayyatuha nafs mutma'inna irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyya fadkhuli fi ibadi wadkhuli jannati. So we are ready to do evil, and we are, and to do good. But we just need to expand and to empower the good side of who we are at the expense of the bad side, if you will. Right? And if we don't do that, the nafs ammara will continue to grow and take more space from the nafs lawama. And the person can be an evil person because his nafs al-ammara is much stronger, and a person could be a righteous person because his nafs al-lawama is much stronger. Allah Alam.
So this nafs al-ammara is the same shaitan that Shuslam has said that every person has a shaitan?
No. Nafs without any shaitan, because remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He created Adam and put him in Jannah, He created just one tree. And one would ask, why this business of tree? I mean, why did Allah create everything permissible? Yeah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala disciplined that, because Adam is different. Adam now, the human that's completed and was given knowledge, and hikmah and ilm. So we must understand there's good and evil, and there are orders, there are limits. Don't exceed the limit. And halal is always much greater than haram. Haram is the exception. Haram is the exception. Everything is made halal except few things. And Adam failed the test. He failed the test. He repented. Allah accepts his repentance. But there must be limits. Otherwise, what's the difference between humans and animals? Animals just act to fulfill their needs. That's it. That's it. They don't have so much rules and limits. They act naturally, and that's it. But we are not animals. We are more than the wild animals. We have been given the knowledge, the hikmah, the wisdom, and we have to act accordingly. Alright, 10 minutes left. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Look for him, man. Why? She. Okay.